Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Michael Coren Show. It's a Thursday, and almost every Thursday we have federal politics. No exception. We'll talk about politics and politicians and things like that tonight. Let's introduce him. Akash Maharaj. He's president of the New Liberalism Foundation. And Jamie Heath, author of Dead Centre, Hope, Possibility and Unity for Canadian Progressives. There is none, but Jamie, great to have you here. Richard Ciano, National Vice President of the Conservative Party of Canada.
Thank you.
Well, we knew it was of Canada. And John Nunziata, who's a partner with the parliamentary group. He was an MP. And let's begin with the good old Kyoto. You're in a bit of trouble here.
We've always been environmentally conscious,
and
absolutely since the beginning. And Canadians want real action on the environment. I think they don't want, a lot of talk. I don't think they want the approach, which is what the Liberals would have us do, which is just to go on doing whatever with the environment and buying emission credits abroad. They want tangible action that leads to a reduction in emissions right here in Canada. Things like the Clean Fuels, Biofuels Initiative, which we introduced in December, and which is going to have the net effect of removing almost a million cars from the road by making gasoline have 5% of renewable fuels, and diesel by 2012 having 2% of renewable fuels. And we've just brought in an eco-energy initiative of $1.5 billion to again give homeowners incentives to actually introduce measures to reduce greenhouse gases and so on. So that's what they're looking for.
Why aren't you reaching out to Buzz Hargrove and saying we can form an alliance here? In all seriousness, he speaks for a lot of working Canadians, working class Canadians,
sure.
And he's an angry man. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, the environment, we care, but Kyoto, is that really for us? Does it really help us?
Well, there's no question that the Liberals put us in a position in 13 years that they were in power where Stéphane Dion showed weak leadership on this issue and didn't move the climate change file forward at all, where it's impossible to meet those climate change requirements. They've as much admitted themselves that you can't meet the Kyoto targets within 5 years without buying emissions credits. And there's no question that Buzz Hargrove is concerned about what the impacts of doing that may be, and others are rightly interested in having progress on the environment. But the fact is we're in a difficult position there because we had 13 lost years of no progress on
Get your saber out, Akash.
Let's get the political parties working together, and that's what I think.
But apparently the
Canadians
Conservatives already have the planes booked. You're ready for the election?
We always, in a minority situation, you have to be ready for an election at any time because the Liberals desperately want an election. Stéphane Dion ran on a platform of we were never wrong, we need to get right back in there as quickly as possible.
I don't remember
and they're the ones playing the partisan games, like with the toothless bill that they brought in on Kyoto, which has no money attached to it, even when they themselves had admitted that they can't meet the Kyoto targets without buying emissions credits, which they know we won't do. In fact, among other people, Akash Maharaj himself was quoted in Now magazine saying that the only way that they want to do a Clean Air Act is a liberal Clean Air Act that they introduce, that they bring in.
That is a complete bullshit.
No, that was in Now magazine. They're not interested
one moment. Did you say it?
There is no better authority on what I said than I myself, and I am honored. I am honored by the fact that after the Conservatives have misrepresented Al Gore and have gone and said, we know better.
We're going to get to Al Gore. You didn't say it.
I said specifically, and Now magazine quoted me correctly, but I didn't say what he just said. I said that the Liberal Party's best position is for us to create a Clean Air Act, because I don't trust the Conservatives to create a meaningful one.
So you're not interested in cooperating.
I am interested in cooperating. If I may say what I said rather than yourself.
Did you misquote him on purpose?
No, absolutely not.
There's some clashing quotations here. You said there was a quotation in Now magazine, and Akash said you didn't quote him properly.
Okay, well, I'll read the whole little paragraph that it was in. No, it's very short, just so that we can be absolutely clear of the context. I'll read everything you said in the whole paragraph. Here we go. But there is much talk that Dion would rather kill the enviro legislation than rewrite it so he can go into a next election as Captain Clean Air. Maharaj himself underscores that other all too familiar Liberal reflex. Quote, "The ideal position for the Liberals is that we have a Clean Air Act and that we are the authors of it." That's why
Keep
we
reading.
see...
You said
All right.
you would read everything
It says
I
he
said.
says. That's all it says there. Okay? So feel free. This is what...
it also
this
says-
is good I read the whole
TV, isn't it?
paragraph
Yeah.
as I said I
The
would.
part that you neglected to read, my Conservative friend, is Akash Maharaj, former Liberal National Policy Chair, says, "Any party that wields the knife that beheads this legislation will pay a price with the electorate." He says, "Every party will be held to account." I stand by that. My point is that the Conservative Party cannot be trusted to create meaningful environmental legislation, and what is best for Canadians
It's
is
only
for,
if the Liberals
is
do it. Then
for
that's okay.
parties with with a real commitment to environmental.
I think it's
But
very
trust-
clear.
Liberals split on Dion's, this is an interesting one, Dion's terror position. Anne McClellan, John Manley and Erwin Cotler said post-9/11 security measures implemented by the Liberal government should be protected, but apparently Dion and his people say no, we should get rid of them. Split in the party. Who's right and who's wrong?
There's a split, but there's certainly a difference of opinion.
A split.
That sounds more dramatic.
The cast of Street Legal think you're wrong, that you want this legislation to continue.
Well, I mean, it's only Liberals that would say that it's a sign of leadership, that something that Stéphane Dion was at the table when they brought in security certificates. Other people were at the table, and now he's trying to distance himself from them. And you know, the reality is that they're a needed part of Canada's protecting Canadians against terrorism. They're reasonable in nature, and it's just typical. And he's you know, his weak leadership is apparent. He's unable even to have agreement from the people who sat around the table when they did this.
Leadership? Three serious politicians with experience are giving a point of
Who
view.
were at the same table.
You think
when
he should
was.
control them and somehow not allow them to give their opinion?
Oh no, not at all. But now this, and it's like it is with the weak leadership is just how you have. It's in the similar thing in the topic before with environment. You know, signs Kyoto, but doesn't do anything to bring emissions down.
This is different.
Brings in it's exactly the same. You know, brings in the mission to Afghanistan.
What should he do?
But then distances himself
Say to
and
these
doesn't
three,
support the troops that were there.
You're out of
No,
caucus,
but
you're in
he
caucus.
should be consistent
Again,
with the decision was made
and
that
he is the
to
person
bring
who
in the
voted for the
certificate.
census.
Going to break. Back in a few moments. The Conservatives, you're appointing your friends to judges. You're making judges out of people who were failed candidates, and the committees are all stacked.
No.
You're behaving just like the Liberals.
Everybody who's been appointed a judge since we took office were people that were on the Liberal short list for justices. That's a fact. If the Liberals don't want police officers sitting on the panels that make that make suggestions as to judges, they should come out and say so, because that's what this is really about. But every single one of those judges were people that were on the Liberal short list.
Apparently you're being appointed a judge. Is this true?
Absolutely not.
No bias here,
absolutely not
no
true.
party politics involved?
Again, it's actually interesting to hear Akash talk about it, but he mentioned, you know, panels in other countries of lawyers and other judges, etc., and there was no mention of police officers, and that's really the biggest
that is
change that
bold,
we've made, which was to include police officers.
That's
Akash Maharaj, a pleasure to have you here. Jamie Heath, a great pleasure to have you here. Richard Ciano, a great pleasure, and I'm running out of groups here. Whatever superlative. John Nunzada, hello. Tomorrow, Friday, that was the week, that was TW3. Until then, take care, God bless, and goodbye.